Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? I am a man that is currently staying and working here in South Africa. I have my own painful story that I want to share with you. This happened, it was on the 25th of December. Many years ago, it did happen. And it was on the day when I realized that I have a curse that has been placed on my life. So, in our village, my uncle, who was my father's elder brother, he was the only one that had a very big sound system. So each and every December, we would go to his house. If you wanted to celebrate Christmas, you had to be at his house. So I went there. When I arrived there, I then started to play with my cousin brothers and sisters. My uncle, he then went out. He was accompanying his other friend. After we had seen that he had gone out, that was when we started being naughty, and then we started stealing food from his bedroom because there were some sweets that were in the bedroom. So we started to steal those sweets that were in the bedroom. So we would do a rotation. If I would go and steal, I will share with others. Then after those sweets would have finished, then another one would go and steal as well and share with the others so that we could all eat the sweets. When it was my turn to go back into the bedroom, that was when I saw that underneath this other big cardboard box that had the sweets inside, there was a book that was in there. So this book, it had my name, which was pretty surprising that there was a book that had my name and underneath it. And then I took it and I saw that this was a book that belonged to me, and it was surprising that my uncle had that book. As for that book, I had lost it at school. Even my father, he had beaten me after he had found out that I had lost that book because it was still new. But what surprised me was that I saw that on each and every page, my uncle had written curses like, you are never going to be anything in your life. You are going to fail. You are going to be someone that is poor for the rest of your life. You'll never be able to achieve anything in your life. Those were the words that he had written in that book. And when I took it, because I wanted to go and show it to my father that look at what uncle has written in the book. But to my surprise, Brother Nashim, is that when I was going out of his bedroom, to my surprise, what happened was that this book, it just disappeared right there in front of me. The book just disappeared. So it really surprised me as to how was it even possible that a book can just disappear right in front of you. So my uncle then came back and he accused me of stealing from him, and he told me that he never wanted to see me at his house ever again. He said, I don't want to see you ever again at my house because you are a thief. That is what my uncle said to me. And when I returned back home, I could not even tell my father. I just remained quiet because I had no evidence. When the results came out, because we had written our O-level exams, just like what the teachers at our school had expected, because they had already pledged their donation saying that they wanted me to go to Form 5. But to everyone's surprise, my brother, even though I had passed, I had straight A's and A plus, even in mathematics, but there was no one that was even willing to sponsor me so that I can be able to go to Form 5. My father and my mother even traveled to Harare, to this other place that is called Waterfalls. that is where our head office of our church is. And an announcement was made in church that there was this particular child that was stuck in the village. He was very intelligent and he was looking for someone that could assist him so that he can be able to go to Form 5. My father said that it was so painful because there was no one that even made a single pledge. That is exactly what happened. So one day I saw my father, he was crying, and I gave up on thinking about ever going to school. That was when I came to South Africa. Ever since I came to South Africa, I can see that all the cases that were written in that book by my uncle, that is exactly what is happening to me. I am living a cursed life. I am working here in South Africa. I just make cement bricks. Whenever I have money, something bad will always happen. It's either people steal from me, or when I try to go home, then the money that I would have saved, I will send it home because my mother will get sick, just like what happened last year. Me and my wife, we were supposed to go back home, but then we were called and we were told that my son, when he was playing with the other kids in the village, he hit a cow with a stone, and then the legs of that cow was broken, two of them. So the owner wanted me to pay all the money that we had gotten as a bonus from our boss. We had to send it back home, and the meat was eaten by the villagers. So this is my confession. I have tried to pray each and every year. I go on a fasting period, but it does not help anything. It does not change anything. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to speak with our brother in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. The curses that were written in that book, he is saying that he is still being affected by those same curses. Then there is another message that I want to share with you. The message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my story as anonymous? I am a Zimbabwean man that is currently living here in the United Kingdom, and I want to ask a question to your listeners. Should I tell my wife? I'm scared to tell my wife because I am on her visa as a dependent. What if she will divorce me and she will say that maybe I am a crazy man? I always have these hallucinations. This happened when I was in a prison in South Africa. I was an inmate. There was a guy that we were forced to beat, and he had brain damage. He died, and I keep on having this hallucination. It happened a very long time ago when I was arrested in South Africa. What led to my arrest was that I had been dating and staying with this South African woman. We had kids together. So since we had started a family and we were working on a farm, so since I did not have any papers that I could use to open a bank account, I then spoke with that woman whom I considered to be my wife because we had two kids together. And I said, what we need to do right now is that we have to use your bank account so that we can save money. So after we had saved money, then when I wanted to use that money, she started to fight with me. She said, let us build a house first. So as we were fighting, couples fight, I ended up hitting her, and she reported me to the police. I was arrested for gender-based violence. That is how I found myself in a prison. And it was as if God had forgotten me, because when I was arrested, then I got malaria. When I arrived, I was very weak after the judge had sentenced me. And when you go to prison, when you are physically weak, you are going to be used, you are going to be beaten by gang members. And I did not have any gang. I did not have any protection. I had nothing. So when I wanted to join a gang, there was another guy who was a Zimbabwean guy who was a mechanic. He had been caught with a car that did not belong to him, and he was in there for vehicle theft. According to him, he said that it was not his fault because he had been sent by a customer to go and collect a vehicle to tow it. and it belonged to this other white man. And that is when he was caught with that car and he was arrested for vehicle theft. And he said when he joined a gang, what they made him to do was that they told him to stab another guy whilst he was fast asleep. He said he sharpened a toothbrush and then he stabbed another guy whilst he was fast asleep on his neck. And he said, thank God that the guy did not die. So according to him, what he said was that when you have joined a gang in prison, they do not want you to get out of prison. So it's either they make you to fight against other prisoners so that you keep on going back to court so that you can stay there in prison forever, or even to kill someone. Once you have killed someone, they will be saying that you have proved that you are part of the family, but then you are going to be in prison for the rest of your life because you would have committed murder. So that is what he told me when I was about to get a prison gang number. So since I refused, we would get beaten. And if it was on a hot day, there were those bosses. So what you will do is that you will take off your t-shirt and you had to act as if you were like a fan so that the boss will never get hot. If you get tired of fanning the boss, you'll get beaten. You had to mop the floor. You had to keep the cells clean. And if you refuse, they will beat you up. And the other thing that they used to do to us is that whenever the food will come, then they will open the water in the shower so that they can wash the soup off from the baked beans or any food that had salt in it. You will only survive by eating food that has no salt. So they say that those that are the bosses, they are the only ones that are supposed to eat food that have salt. They believe that if a man eats salt, he will become strong. And if you do not eat salted food, you become weak. So they do not want anyone expect for them to be strong. So we were used to that type of a situation. Whenever a new inmate will arrive, when you were showering, you were supposed to bath using cold water. And if you refuse, you will be beaten. And then there was this other guy that came. So this man, he had been arrested. He had been transporting, those RG cigarettes, and he got arrested and he was sentenced and he came to the prison where we were. And once you come to prison, you have to go to court. So this is a court for inmates. And this is also what they did to me. They sentenced me in prison because they say that you have the nerves to beat a South African woman. So they give you your own punishment. As for that guy, they asked him why he was transporting cigarettes from Zim, and he also had a lawyer. So the lawyer that they make you to choose, you'll be someone that does not even have any idea to defend your case. And if you lose, he will beat you up, saying that, so you knew that you were guilty all along, and now you made me to defend you, yet you were not innocent. That guy, they asked him, the judge, who was the owner of the cell, he said, so you think that you are clever, you bring these RG cigarettes, even though they were smoking those same RG cigarettes. Then they said to him, what about our South African companies like your Stuyvesant and your Cotley? You know that you are making them to lose a lot of profit, yet they never smoked those ones. They smoked the fake ones. But then they said that you have been sentenced and you are going to be beaten. We were told to take him to the shower. It was a lot of us. We were about 8 that were told to go and give him a punishment in the shower. So this shower punishment, what they will do is that they will take you into the shower, open cold water, and in the meantime, we would have also made these big towels to become wet. And when you come out of the shower, then we start to beat you with those towels. It's either you kneel down whilst we are beating you. It will be so painful because your body will be wet, you are feeling cold, and then a towel that is wet, it becomes like a shambok. We would even tie it for it to look like a shambok. So we started beating the guy, not because I wanted to, but I was scared. If you do not participate, then they will say that, okay, this one can rest. then they will start to beat you. So it is a matter of survival, and it does not even matter even if they will come later on, the correctional services, to do an investigation. Everything that happens in prison, you have to stay silent. Even if you are bullied, if you speak, you die. That is the truth that happens in prison. So we had to remain quiet. So after we had beaten him, there was a guy that came and hit him on the back of his head. And when that happened, he fell to the ground and he hit the floor with his head too hard, and he started bleeding from the ears, the nostrils, as well as the mouth. And another guy was like, this one, he suffered from brain damage. He woke up, but he was dizzy. Then he was taken to hospital, but we remained quiet when we were asked what had happened to him, because who would dare to stand up and say that this guy was beaten yesterday and there were no cameras at all? So after this guy had been beaten, we later heard that he had died in hospital. I was released later on, but I started to suffer from hallucinations. I found a job. I was working on this other farm. When I was working on that farm, if my boss will tell me to dig a trench, he would give me a pick and a shovel. Then I would start to dig that trench. But when I would look, I would see that in front of me, there will be someone that will be digging the trench. And then the guy will turn around and I will see that it was that same guy that we had murdered whilst I was in prison. I kept on having these hallucinations and I tried to ignore them, but I was also having nightmares until I found the opportunity to come to the UK. And when I came here, the nightmares, they got so worse. Sometimes I have these terrible nightmares and I'm scared to tell my wife about what happened when I was in South Africa. What if she will say that I am mentally ill and then she divorced me? Because once she divorced me, then I won't have any legal right to stay in the United Kingdom. I am a man that is traumatized. If I am in a noisy place, I start to have this terrible hallucinations. Sometimes I feel like screaming. Even when I am in church, when people are singing, playing instruments during the praise and worship, then I'll start to have hallucinations. I'll see that guy. He will be naked, just like the way that he was when we were beating him, and he will be dancing in front of the church, and there will be blood everywhere. You will be covered in blood, which will be so scary for me. So I no longer go to church, not because I don't want to, but I just stopped going to church because I'm scared of all the hallucinations that I do have whenever I am in a public space. So this is my confession. I wish that I had his name, because what we used to do in prison, because there were a lot of people that used to die in prison. So if there was a person that was from Zim that would have come as an inmate, would ask him basic questions like what they did to me, where do you come from? These were other Zim inmates that were there. So they would take your first name, your last name, as well as the village from where you are born, as it is written on your ID, and the chief of that village, so that if you die, then they will make arrangements with other prisoners. If there is anyone that will get released, then they can pass on the information that there is Lazarus that is in this prison. He comes from this village, and the chief of that village, his name is this, and then maybe they can be able to locate your relatives. So that is what they used to do. But as for that guy, we never got the opportunity to sit down with him because he was beaten on the night when he arrived. So there was no opportunity to speak with him. The next day, he was already sick and he could not talk because he had been beaten the previous night. So this is my secret that I have been holding for a very long time. And I know that I am killing myself because I keep on overthinking. Sometimes I feel like I am about to have a stroke. There was one day that I collapsed when my wife was at work because I kept on thinking, and I saw that vision being replayed of us beating that guy until he was no longer breathing. So I keep on blaming myself for hitting my South African girlfriend in the first place, because if I had not been arrested, maybe that guy was not going to die. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to speak with him in the comment section. He's saying that he does not talk about this. He does not tell anyone. He keeps it in his heart, in his mind. Yo, strange things they do happen in this world.